not making fun of Noah today. Should have been making fun of Noah when we started.
We should make fun of Noah. I can't think of anything.
Right,
we could
yeah.
retell your story as though it was Noah. Oh, man. Hello. All right. So, immediately just like, words? What? All right. I think it's working. Awesome. I just want to talk about the bugs because I had 3 bugs in here today and it was driving me up all. I had a horsefly that was dive bombing me when I was trying to get stuff set up today. So, hey, we're doing podcast number 2. So welcome. We're excited to have you guys here. Thanks for jumping in with us. We are going to have just some conversation about things that have been on my heart and Kellen's heart over the last week, but then also we want to hear about what's going on in your lives and questions you have or things that you want to talk about. And so feel free to post in the comment section down below and let us know what you've been thinking about and what you've been praying about. But yeah, I mean, it's just a chance to have a conversation and a chance for kind of have more people part of it in this time when we are all a little bit further apart than usual. So, hey, Kathy. Hey, Dan. Good to see you guys. Your wife says hi. You going to say hi?
Hi.
Oh, my goodness. So, it has been... Is the neighbor mowing?
The neighbor is mowing. That's amazing.
I don't know if you can hear it, but apparently my neighbor just right now decided to start mowing. Can you can hear it, I'm sorry about that. But if you can't,
literally,
then it'll just annoy us. Oh, hey Barb, good to see you too. Well, I guess we can't see you, but I'm glad that you are here with Dan as well. But yeah, it is. That's going to be so distracting.
That's awesome.
Vroom, vroom.
All right, we're live.
Doesn't take long.
So can you hear it? You can't hear it?
Okay.
Cool.
Do you want to post something about just a pinned comment about people? Feel free to post thoughts or questions or be part of the conversation because we do want it to be more than just Kellen and I talking. We'd love to have you guys jump in as well. Hey, Jackie. And so we this week we're still in social isolation, and it doesn't necessarily look like it's going to be ending soon. Boise just called off school for the year, which my kids were bummed about. How'd your kids handle that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're bummed. You know, I think. I think, you know, what's weird is like, I think we as parents are more bummed for them than they are. I think at this point they're kind of already sick of each other and they're only 1 month in and now they've got, 3-4 months of summer break minimum.
Oh,
that's if we start school on time.
Yeah.
So we're 1 month in and they're already, I mean, they go in spurts. Let's be real. They go in spurts. For the most part, our kids are good. Today wasn't too bad. Actually, today was pretty good. There was a moment though this morning where my wife was on the phone with a customer and we tell Noah to take the girls out for recess. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So they get outside, they burn off some energy, they ride their bikes, hopscotch, jump rope, whatever. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason today they were just watching TV and it was like 11 o'clock and so told them to go outside. Well, Noah has like all these stipulations on recess apparently. So there's like, you can only ride your bike so many times and it has to be in such an order and there's only so much chalk drawing you can do and all that good stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So like he limits what they can do on recess and so, I had him come into our bedroom and I was trying to keep it down, but I was like, look, buddy, take them outside, have fun, treat it like recess, right? Like when you were a kid. All of a sudden, my wife throws it on mute. She's like, "Will you guys just stop it already?" Or whatever. I don't even remember what she didn't yell. That was louder than what she said. But she got very stern with us.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
She got very stern with us, and so I was just like, "Get your dog or get your kids out or our kids outside. Go play. Get out of here." So, but that was really it. I mean, for the most part, they're doing great. They just have those. I think like any other family that's dealing with kids at home right now and they're working from home, they have those moments where you're just like, man, I wish I could send you to the playground or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but for the most part though, they're doing great. There's no big issues.
I know, definitely starting to feel kind of the edges are getting a little threadbare on the family unit.
Yeah.
Like our boys have really short fuses. Like they'll go from really good, and I mean it was always this way, but now it's just that much more where it's they'll be fine, and then all of a sudden they explode.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I realize that my fuse is shorter and like I'm blowing up, right? And then Erica is on the phone with customers, trying to take policy information, and she's got 3 yelling dudes out in the living room trying to have like dominate control. I don't know. It's like everyone's gunning for alpha all of a sudden. And then the dog is in the corner, like getting excited and like, what's going on?
Right.
Maybe someone will play with me. I'm like, no, go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, I didn't realize, and it's one of those things you kind of know it, but you don't realize how important having your family and your kids and my wife and I getting the opportunity to interact with people outside of our core family, nuclear unit is so important to just well-being.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something a lot of people are beginning to really feel as we're in week 2 or 3 of depending on how this started for you of kind of this social isolation and distancing and yeah, Dan is Barb says it's all quiet at her place except for Dan snoring. So hey Jeff, good to see you guys too. Oh man, a couple other people jumping in. Hey, we're glad that you're here with us, but
Cody jumped on this week before the end of the night.
Hey, yeah, Cody caught us. I think the time change caught him off guard last time. He was there on time for something an hour later.
We miss you, Cody.
Man, it is. I don't know. It's one of those things you look at life and go, man, I've got to do this for another month. Another 3-4 weeks. If not longer.
The school's out now.
Yeah.
Where we're from in South Dakota, they've called off school.
Yep.
So they're down there too.
And it's one of those like how are we going to maintain? How are you going to keep sane? How are you going to stay firm? How are you going to not lose your cool with the family? There's already been cases of kind of an uptick in mental health and mental health care around the world. On the plus side, pollution is way down. Have you seen the pictures from, I think it's pictures from India, where in some of the major metro areas where the sky was always gray, you could never see the horizon, and people are taking pictures and it's just gorgeous blue skies. Going to New York and there's squirrels all over the grass.
I think they did that in LA too. Someone did a picture of like a before and then like a few days after like their quarantine started, and then now like 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, whatever it's been. Yeah, that's like perfectly blue skies. It looks like California.
Yeah.
Like what we all picture California to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's nuts.
It's crazy.
But I don't know, man. Here's the thing with all of that though. It makes you realize how important the social interactions are, and how important that community life is, and not doing life alone. And we're actually going to have a conversation with a guy who is he working on his PhD in that, or is he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so working with a friend of ours who's working on his PhD in essentially like church community life and loneliness and kind of the church friends, and so he's actually going to be joining us in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Buddy of ours named
So-
Jake Thurston.
Jake Thurston. He's pumped to be on the show with us, which is weird. It's like we suddenly have guests. That's so random.
Oh,
But
yeah. So he's a guy that used to be on staff with, and
Yeah.
now
Good friend.
He
Yep.
is now at IWU, where we both are Indiana Wesleyan, where we
yeah.
both went to school, and he's on staff out there working with their programs, and then next week we've got Nurse Julie, who's part of our lead team, and is a lead nurse here in town for St. Al's, and she's going to be joining us next week to talk about just kind of COVID and the community and how we can be part of that, how we can help, and what life looks like in the midst of all of this, and what life has looked like for her and her team on the front lines with healthcare, because she is manning one of the clinics or leading one of the clinics that is doing frontline testing here in Boise. So she's got a huge heart for that, and a huge kind of perspective, or a unique perspective that most of us don't have. So we're excited. We've got so next week Nurse Julie Dollinger is on, and in 2 weeks is Jake Thurston. And
you know what's funny about all this?
what's that?
So they always tell you, like in seminary or in college, like they're like, there's going to be things that happen in the real world that we just can't prepare you for.
Yeah.
Right. There's just no way.
Yeah.
They never told me I would be like talent acquisition, as a multiplication pastor, like trying to get people on
By the way,
our live cast. Like that's not something they train you for.
No, they don't.
So it's kind of weird. They're a buddy of mine that we're trying to reach out to. We're going to do a Casas per Cristo trip.
Yeah. Yep.
God willing, right? In December, and going to try to get him on the show so he can talk a little bit about their ministry and how all of this has affected building homes in Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, the Dominican. So hoping to get him on in a few weeks. I feel what is that? Because I don't know enough about show business. Is that called talent acquisition?
Yeah, it's a talent buyer.
Talent buyer.
That's what Peter does.
I'm putting that on my resume now. As a sign. That's
the other
the
duties as a sign,
yeah.
aka talent buyer. Jackie was asking what we thought of the earthquake. We talked a little bit about that last week.
Yeah.
We had 2 earthquakes, and they were separate. We had one earthquake that had some aftershocks, and then another earthquake where
It just happened a few days ago. It was like,
excuse me,
it wasn't even an aftershock.
A couple days ago.
It was
it was a
like
whole nother
separate
event.
earthquake, 4 point something.
Yeah, and so that makes 4 earthquakes for me now, and
Yeah, I'm in that ballpark.
I'll tell you, our family's doing well, and it was kind of surreal and weird, and it's kind of one of those things like, hey, we got to experience an earthquake and actually felt it move. It's kind of a cool thing to say. But our dog is nuts.
Really?
Since then. He has been clingy and skittish and just out of sorts. Oh, man. So our dog is not responding. What's that? Oh, yeah. He's like right here all the time. Just right there. Will not go away. But yeah, it's a little weird to be, having. I had a buddy of mine posted that he was going to go and buy lamb blood to paint over his door, because we're having earthquakes and pestilence and must be Passover.
Yeah.
Something's coming. So actually, it is Passover. Started on Tuesday. So happy Passover. Their dog doesn't care. I don't know if your dog's too small to realize there's anything going on, Kathy.
Yeah, our dog is a Shih Tzu. She has no clue what's going on
Oh, man.
in life in general.
So one of the things I know we want to talk about is with the whole idea of community. It's really important to stay connected. And I know that people are struggling to find new ways. And it continually like finding new connecting points, and all of a sudden you've got family members who are Zooming or Skyping or FaceTiming or Discording or whatever your video platform of choice is, who don't talk to each other, but a couple times a year or every couple years. And all of a sudden they're having like weekly my wife's family is now having a Sunday afternoon video call with like all the cousins and grandma and a bunch of them. Which is just nuts. My kids are on like they do a daily lunchtime call with a bunch of other kids with my dad's church. And I know Lonnie, our worship guy, was telling us about how, they've got family that they don't see but every 2 or 3 years. And now they're having phone calls or Skype calls every week with them too. And there's just this need for connection and this need for community. And we realize that as a church body, like we're called gathering, right? Gathering 208. And part of that is getting in the same room with people or getting in the same space as people. And now all of a sudden, this is as far as getting in the same room goes is us who work together and, are on staff together, get to be in the same room and everyone else is there commenting on. By the way, feel free to comment if you've got questions or if you've got thoughts, feel free to post it because we want you to be part of the conversation because otherwise it's just us talking at each other. And we're more than happy to do it, but we'd rather have you guys jump in. And so with that, we kind of realized that we need to up our community, our virtual community game a bit. So that's why we're doing things like this. But we also are going to we've got a couple other things going on. So we've got a now I'm wondering if it's going. Is the women's group going on Thursdays? If I say it now, will it happen? All right. So
pressure's on.
We have got a women's group that has been meeting on Thursdays, and they have been talking about making that happen over Zoom as well. And so I'm going to say that I'm going to schedule it.
We're going to put some pressure
and we're going to put some pressure on because it's an awesome group of women who get together, and my wife is like furtively texting people now. And so if you'd like to be part of that, and here's the thing, here's the beauty of online is you don't have to necessarily be Boise centric, right? I mean, you can be Boise adjacent. You could be anywhere really, as long as the time zone works for you. And so if anything we talk about, if you're interested, we would love to get you information on how to jump into the calls, jump into the Zoom conversations, because a couple times we just put the information out there, and apparently that's a bad idea now because people like Zoom bomb and do horrible things on your screen. And
yeah, don't do that.
So now if you'd like to be part of what we're doing, you can private message us at Gathering 208 or myself or Kellen, and we will get you the information. But so there's a women's group that talks on Thursday nights. They've been going through a book by Bob Goff, which was phenomenal, and I think they might actually kind of be midway through that, but it's one of those things that you can kind of just jump in. And then we have got a guys discipleship group that has been meeting on Saturday mornings. That we've still got a little bit of room left in the discipleship group. But then what we're going to do is we're going to go every other week. And Kellen and I are going to teach a Bible study on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That'll be 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And that'll start not this Saturday, but next Saturday,
right?
Which is the 14th, I think.
Wait, what?
The 11th.
Be the 18th.
The 11th.
The 11th, we're doing discipleship, right? And then the 18th.
Yeah, no, this week is the 11th. Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No,
Get
you're
our
right.
calendar right.
The 18th. So Saturday the 18th, Kellen and I are going to be starting a Bible study that it will be live on Vimeo, or sorry, not Vimeo, on Zoom, and you can jump in and be part of that. And we would love to have everybody be there, open invitation. You just need to get the link to the Zoom room from us. Dan says that his doctor is doing his appointments online. What's that? Oh, that's Barb. Yeah, that if anyone's ever done the online doctoring thing, I think it's awesome. I've only done it once. I did it once when I needed some antibiotics for like a cold last year, but that was awesome. So Delane would love to have you part of, the ladies would love to have you part of the women's group. So that's kind of what's coming up. We've got a women's group that meets. We've got a men's discipleship group that meets on Saturday mornings that has got some spots left, and then an open-ended, as many people as want to come. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl or anything like that. Love to have you jump in, and that is starting Saturday, the April 18th at 10 a.m. Mountain time. Man, that's a lot of information.
That's a lot to
I got to
remember,
get through it.
man.
We will post about that and get you the information on how to get access to the room. So would love to have you join us. But some of the things I know that have been, there's this idea of community, and there's this idea of fear. And I think that more and more people are starting to realize that we're kind of in this for the long haul, and that can bring about a lot of fear. It can bring about a lot of uncertainty. It can be maybe not even fear for everybody, but I would beg to guess that there's anxiety with most everybody. Like there's some level of anxiety about this. I know I was starting to feel it this week on, was it Monday? I think it was Monday. Man, I was just in a funk on Monday. Like, didn't want to do anything, would stare out the window, right? And was just honestly was probably kind of starting to venture into some depression territory. And wife and I had some conversations, and I had some conversations with some people that I talk with, and it was just one of those, like, needed a bit of a heart check, because it all kind of had started to get to me on Monday. I don't know how. I mean, have you been feeling any of that yet with this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little different, right? Like. Mm-hmm. Erica and I are introverts. You're an extrovert.
Yeah.
My wife is an extrovert. So most people are like, oh, introverts, you want to be home all the time and do nothing and just be at your house. Mm-hmm. Which isn't exactly true. I want my alone time to refresh. And as of right now, I'm not getting alone time to refresh, right, Erica? Erica's nodding her head. So I'm not getting alone time to refresh, except a friend of mine in Sioux Falls, Amy, started I don't know what you want to call it, like an exercise group, just to accountability. Okay. Yeah. Like our buddy Lonnie did that, yep. Right? It's just like an accountability group just to get you outside to ride your bike, go running, go for a walk, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so Monday, I started riding my bike again. And last night rode my bike, and that 40 to 45 minutes, give or take, where I just put on some worship music and just go for a ride until basically my legs are dead. Mm-hmm. That's helped me refresh. So I've actually been kind of better, I think, this week, because I had that time. Don't get me wrong, I love my family, but I need that time kind of on my own, right? Like, so introverts, we're probably feeling it a little bit differently than you extroverts. Extroverts are like, oh, I don't get all that community anymore. It's just me and my family. Whereas introverts are like, oh, it's just me and my family. So yeah. Why is it everybody says, oh, me and my family? No, that sounds bad. I love you guys. But
I like other
I'm
people.
Gonna get home
promise.
Tonight. Locks are changed.
Yeah.
No. But my wife understands that. She gets it. Like last night, I checked with her beforehand. So last night I said, hey, can I go for a ride? Do you care? And so she was like, no, go ahead. But that's helped me. But I mean, I'd be lying if I'd say there aren't times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy. Because even I still like to be around people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, so I mean, what do you see the value with getting out like that? I mean, what has that done? What has that done for you? Well, you're making that shift.
There's studies that show, like, even some minor exercise, right? Some sort of physical activity helps I don't know if you want to say clear your head. That's not the scientific term for it, right?
Yeah.
But it
I hear you.
It makes you feel better. It makes you feel refreshed. It releases stress. And that's not even like overly strenuous activity. It's as simple as going for a walk around the block, right? Like even my wife, I can't remember if it was this morning or yesterday morning. She was like, dude, I'm going for a walk. Just going around the block. I'm going to be gone 10 minutes before I punch in for the day. I just need to get my mind in a right place, which that walk, I think, helped, for her. So I think getting out, whether that's, alone riding your bike or walking with your family or what's beautiful. This is why we love Boise. My family and Josh's family, we both live like quarter of a mile from the foothills.
Yeah, not far at all.
It's right down the street. So like this afternoon, my wife took the girls out to Siemens Gulch, where you might come across a few people on the trails, but you can still be safe, social distancing from people. And you get out, you can still go do something active as a family. And for the kids, we were just talking about recess, it gets them out, gets them physically active because they're used to gym class and music class and, whatever else, and recess 3 times a day. So to get them out of the house and get them physically active, I just think it helps relieve all of that, from feeling like you're cooped up. And I saw one thing, Wuhan, right? I don't know if I'm saying that right, so I apologize if I'm not. They just relieved their ban on being outdoors.
Yeah. And
I saw they interviewed somebody who was like, "This is the first time I've been outside in 70 days." Like, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
My wife and my kids would go crazy. I don't think our roommate would want to live with us anymore. I think Kayla would be out. I think she'd be done.
Yeah.
She'd be like, yeah, I need a new group of people to live with. She might be thinking that now anyway. But, 70 days. Like, that's crazy. We're just 3-4 weeks into it here in Boise, depending on what job you're in. My company set us home. This is my 4th week working from home now.
Yeah.
But some other places are on like week 3. 70 days, man. That's still a long ways to go.
Well, there's this reality that we're made to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're made to be active. We're made to go out and do things. And it's so tempting to just fall into kind of this unintentional sloth state.
Yeah.
And I know I found it for me. Like we, before all this hit, I'd been going to the gym pretty regularly, and there for a while, you and I were going together pretty regularly, and it was 3-4 times a week, easily. And now all of a sudden, I'm like, I found I hate running outside. Like I just kind of hate running.
I hate running.
And I don't like doing workouts in the living room because you always got like the kids or the dog or the dog
Theo would be
trying to join in, and get between your feet. And so then you end up doing it like way early in the morning or way late at night, and you're just all of a sudden you realize, man, it's been a week and a half and I haven't done any kind of exercise.
Right.
And so I went out this week and raked the yard, right? Like dethatched the yard. Which by hand with a hard rake, because I'm a sucker for punishment apparently. But there's just this need to get out and do something and be active. And I think a lot of times we forget that. And all of a sudden there's this piece of us that just feels like it's missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even for us introverts, right, Erica, like there's still a huge benefit in community, right? Like introverts, it's not that we don't like people. It's not like we don't like being around people. We absolutely do. So this is hard for us too, as introverts, not just you extroverts, but it's just, it's different. It's really hard to kind of figure that out. And I know like the Zoom calls are good, but being in person, well, Lonnie, our buddy, who's a key, he's on our leadership team. He's a key volunteer right now. He's helping us, when we could. He was helping us lead worship, and I know you guys are working on a few things to put out for that. But what was he? What was he just saying? My mind's going blank. We were just talking about it 5 minutes ago before this all started. Now my mind's going blank.
I don't remember, man.
This is the problem with doing this at 7 o'clock at night. I've been working all day, and now my brain is fried. But oh man, it's skipping me. Help! I thought you'd help me out.
I don't even know what direction you're going with
You were sitting right where Erica is. Oh well, it's no big deal. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, man.
That's all right.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, for those of you watching, post what you've been doing to keep yourself active. Keep yourself active. You know, have you been doing?
Lonnie was listening in. Where are you at, Lonnie? Comment, man.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what you're trying to say either. Comment what you've been doing to stay active. If it's been getting outside or doing housework or yard work or doing some kind of online like group exercise thing. Like, let us know. Let other people know, because it's incredibly important to keep yourself doing something. We're made to do stuff. One of the verses that's been kind of on my heart this week has been 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verses 2 through 3. It says, "We always thank God for all of you and pray for you constantly. We pray for our God and Father about you, and we think of your faithful work, your loving deeds, and the enduring hope you have because of our Lord Jesus Christ." Right? And so there's this this thing where he's talking to the Thessalonians, right? And he says, we thank you for your faithful work, your loving deeds, and in your enduring hope. And I think that's something that those are three things that we need right now, right? We need faith, right? Faithful deeds. We need love, those loving works. That might have had those backwards, but and then we need hope. I'm just reminded that we're in the midst of all this stuff. Like, COVID is contagious, right? And that's why we're all social distancing. That's why we're all, locking ourselves away and now having to deal with this new reality right now. And then fear is contagious. And I'm pretty sure anxiety is contagious, and we can everyone's just kind of this ball of nerves and it getting rawer and rawer as you go through life. And roar. That's a hard word to say, but
more and more raw.
More and more raw. There we go. And And all of that's contagious, right? Like we see it in our family. Like if I have a bad day, then all of a sudden Erica's having a bad day, and all of a sudden our kids are having a bad day, and the dog has no idea what to do with himself, right? And I think we have to remind ourselves that hope is contagious too, right? Like living and spreading hope is contagious. It's something that when we actively put it out there, other people get it. Mm-hmm. Other people sense it. Other people experience it. And, it's kind of like, socially communicable hope, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of this reminder.
Well, and it's kind of like one of those things, right? Like when you're in person, do you always like to be around the people who are super negative, always like you remember the skits on Saturday Night Live, Debbie Downer with Rachel Dratch,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like they're at Disney World and they're like excited to see Mickey, and she's like, "Did you hear? The roller coasters killed 5,000 people last year," and it's like, wah, wah, and she's like, well, you don't. We love those people, right? We still love them, but it gets hard to be around them, right? Because they're always spreading negativity. They're spreading, disasters and fear and all that stuff, right? And now, social media had a bit of this aspect before, right? This isn't new to social media, but over the last, what would you say, like 4, 5, 6 weeks, give or take, right? Depending on what part of the country you're in. like you can't scroll 2 posts, 3 posts, 4 posts without something, right? Like,
yeah.
And there are some funny things out there, and there are some Krasinski doing the spread good news, or what's
the
it
Good
called?
News Network,
Some Good News,
right?
Some Good News Network or something, right? Some
Yeah.
Good News Network, which is amazing. I love watching those videos. They're about 10, 15 minutes. I love watching those videos.
The first one made me cry
because they're like uplifting, right?
They
They're
are.
like
they're so positive.
They're
and it's
so
just
positive.
Like, and I get a little weepy when people are like positive and it involves kids.
And then they bring in a kid and they do
like,
that. Was it Hamilton? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where I'm going with all that though is like, as Christians, are we supposed to be the ones spreading the fear, the anxiety, the worry, and all that, or are we supposed to be the ones that are spreading the hope, the love, the good news, right? Yeah. I bet if all 3 of us, and those of you that are watching or listening, I bet you could scroll through your feed and in 2 seconds you'll find a Christian who's not spreading hope, right?
Yeah.
And I hope I haven't done that. Right now, as I'm sitting here saying it, I'm like, gosh, I hope I'm not one of those people that when they go to my Facebook, they're like, that guy, man, he's spreading some fear and anxiety. I hope I don't. I try to spread good things, right? But so when you're reading that passage, that's what I was thinking of, is like, okay, what of my friends that I know are professing Christians, what are they spreading? And I can tell you, I know there's been times I've scrolled past it, and I get it. It's because we feel that hope, or not that hope, but there's times where we feel that fear, we feel that anxiety, like you were just talking about a few moments ago. But it's easy to fall into that trap, you know. So
well, and it's nuts because I think a lot of people this is becoming very real right now. Because all of a sudden it's gone from being, there's all these people being tested or these people that have been positive to now, I know somebody that's being tested, right? Like you were telling me right before this happened that a pastor friend of ours is being tested, right, for COVID. And I was talking with a young adult, and her and I were having a conversation about coronavirus like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and there wasn't a lot of worry. She was kind of like, I'm not sure it's as big of a deal as people are trying to make it out to be. But then a friend of hers that she's really close to had to be tested. And we talked on the phone yesterday, and she's like, all of a sudden this became really real. Yeah. Like this is like legitimately has me worried. And is causing some anxiety, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this information. And I think this is where a lot of people are beginning. It's kind of the rubber meets the road, right? We've gone from just social media anxiety and media anxiety and kind of looking at the state of the world and the economy and people. You hear about people being out of work, or maybe people who are out of work. Maybe that's you, and all of a sudden now it goes from just employment and financial burden to now, I know real people who might be having to deal with this. And it's really easy to just buy into a message of fear at that point, and buy into a message of just kind of being despondent but we have to remember that as followers of Christ, we are carriers of good news. And it doesn't mean that we gloss over or sugarcoat the realities of the world that we live in, but we can speak truth and light into those things, right? We can speak hope and the working of God and the what's the word I'm looking for? But just the wholeness of God into those situations. We were reading Life Without Lack, kind of beginning of the new year, and I keep going through just some of what that book talked about, with finding sufficiency in God, and it has nothing to do with your external situations. And this is really putting some of those truths to the test.
Yeah. And we're in our Holy Week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there's ever a week to share the hope of Jesus Christ, that's any week, that's any day, right?
Yeah.
But Easter week is like our Super Bowl week, right? Like, this is the week that, Christ, goes to the cross, dies for our sins. And imagine, like, we talked about it with Dan on Saturday in our discipleship group, right? Like, you've got this thought if you're his disciples at that time, you've got this thought of who Jesus is and who he's going to be. And then he still dies on the cross, that gruesome death. And then going into Saturday, right? That feeling of despair. Like, speaking of fear and anxiety and worry and all that stuff, we tried getting a little bit into the mindset of the disciples on Saturday morning when we were talking about that in our group. And I can't fathom the depths that they went to thinking who Jesus was, now seeing he's dead. They don't know. Like we talked about, we have the hindsight of 2020, right? We know he rises, we know he conquers death, but the disciples didn't know that, right? And so, but for us today, we have that hope, but it's not like I hope I get my stimulus check. It's a different kind of hope, right? It's a different level. It's a hope that we're sure of. We know without a shadow of a doubt. And so it's kind of one of those things that the timing of everything right now is you don't want to say perfect. That sounds tone deaf, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can take advantage of it. There's an opportunity to reflect and to grow and to see other people do the same thing. Where, as pastors, we've been saying for a long time that it's not the Sunday morning that makes someone a follower of Jesus. Right? It's not the showing up on a Sunday morning. It's not the activity of getting your family and going to church that makes you a follower of Jesus. That's a thing that we do. It's the way we live our life. It's the way we practice community. It's the way that we serve other people. It's the way that we disciple people. Primarily is what makes us a follower of Jesus. And all of a sudden, that's being really tested, especially when it's like you can't go to church on Easter Sunday, and that for a lot of people, and myself included, in our family, that's such a core part of who you are. It's like it's Easter, it's Holy Week. Like why am I not in a church building? Surrounded by people that I worship with every week, and we're having to realize, it was never about the going to church. And it's really making you realize that the relationship that we have with Jesus, it looks a little different than we thought it was going to look like. And I think that's the same thing that the disciples went through, kind of with the death and the resurrection of Christ, was their relationship with Jesus looked different than they thought it was going to. They followed him for 3 years and had been learning from him. And all of a sudden, in a week, their whole perspective on who Jesus was and what the relationship to him looked like was just flipped on its head. I think a lot of people, as Christians, are going through that right now. It's really hard to just kind of casually be Christian when the casual things of Christianity have been taken away. Yeah. You can't just show up, right? Because there's nothing to just show up to.
Right.
And it really makes you kind of dig in and dig deep and go, okay, where am I rooted at? Where's my faithful deeds at? Where's my loving work at? Where's my hope communicated from? So, I think that that's kind of a reality that a lot of us are realizing. We've got to really take a serious look at, okay, so what did Christianity mean to me? Even as a pastor, I'm having to go, okay, so what does my job really mean? What is my role now that there's not a service, to plan for, or people to go out and run into, or I don't know. It's a tough reality.
I'm trying to think of the word I was looking for. It's skipping my mind. One of my professors, Dr. Kana, had talked about in a pastor church and world class that I'd taken with him. A lot of times we tend to think that we are just pastoring our church body.
Mm-hmm. What's
the word I'm looking for? It's not just our church body, though. It's our community at large. My mind is going blank on what that word's called. It's whether or not people come to our church or not. We're pastoring the entire community at once. You know what I mean? Gosh, the word is skipping my brain right now. It is.
That's like the third time
this
today.
Thing is not a steel trap right here. But, like you and Erica had made, I don't know what you'd call them, Erica. They were like, not the headbands, but like clips. I don't know what you call it. For the nurses and the doctors and stuff.
Headbands and these, they had little buttons on the side to hold masks off your ears. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, Julie, comes to our church,
mm-hmm.
And is helping us plant the church, but the rest of the people she works with don't, right? But that
mm-hmm.
was ministering to them and their need. There was something else I thought you guys had also done. Obviously we did the laundry buy down and you were only able to go there because of situation, obviously with everything that came up, but I thought there was something else besides, I know what I was going to say. I mean, you went to Julie's and brought her, like, I think flowers and cookies mm-hmm. or something, or right? And Clorox
wipes. Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways you can, as a pastor right now, that we can love our church and our church body, but not just our own congregation, because ours is very small right now. But there's other ways that you can love your community without violating laws and social distancing rules, right?
Putting anyone at risk.
Right, yeah. So I think for pastors, what I think I've been encouraged by on social media, at least, is seeing how quick the church has responded to the different, do you want to say difficulties in the way that we minister now, right? In the way that we serve our church body and our community at large. Now, are there certainly pastors and Christians out there that I would disagree with the way they're handling things? Yeah, there are. I don't think putting together a group or gathering together a group of 2,000 people is wise right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would personally disagree with that, but I don't want to get into the politics of all that, right? So I'll stop there. But I think overwhelmingly what I've seen online has just been it's been amazing. Church that I used to be on staff at, Ransom Church. I love what I've been. I love that church anyway, right? So I'm very biased. But I notice how, like, in Sioux Falls, what they're doing this week in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is they are going to different, like, I guess you'd call it landmark sites around Sioux Falls. But then they're shooting a video and kind of correlating it to what Jesus went through during this week, right? Mm. So each day they're releasing a different, it's like a 3-minute video, 5-minute video, whatever it is. And I think that was really cool. What I've seen so far, and I don't expect it to get any worse. It's been amazing to see. But I think that's a great idea, right? You can't get Ransom, for example, can't get their entire church body together this week for a Good Friday service and then their Easter services on Sunday, but they're still ministering to the people of Sioux Falls, the people who call Ransom Church home, by feeding them with the truth. Mm-hmm. Right? Sorry, I'll stop rambling now.
No,
but I hope that all makes sense.
Ramble away, man. Oh, yeah. I think it just reminds me of that whole idea of are you fearful? Are you anxious? Or are you spreading hope? You know, what are you putting out there? What are you sharing with people? Is that, you know, people are watching right now. Mm-hmm. You know, they're watching the church. They're watching people that they know who've called themselves Christians and going, okay, so how are you handling yourself? Right. Are you hoarding water? Are you hoarding toilet paper? You know, or are you freaking out and like diving into your bunker with your 5 years of, you know, food supply or whatever? Or are you completely ignoring the situation and going about life and as if nothing is different? Or are you finding ways to make a difference? Are you finding ways to impact people? Right? And not spreading anxiety, not spreading fear, but spreading this hope and this idea of, you know, we can rally as a community and we can make a difference in people's lives. And a lot of times we just have to realize, you know what, it's one life at a time. And those small things can make huge impacts. You know, Julie got to hand out those little headbands that were made, and said that just the staff there is incredibly thankful. You know, just something as small as not having a piece of elastic rubbing on the back of your ear all day,
rubbing it raw,
makes all the difference in the world when everything's chaotic like this.
Right.
And so how can you make those small differences in someone's life? Because those all add up to an opportunity to share the good news and the true hope of Jesus with people, and coming out on the other side of a situation like this with a stronger faith and a stronger faith community because of the impact we are able to have. Mm-hmm. But you don't get to have that impact if all you do is worry about hoarding toilet paper and hoarding water and make sure that my little core group is huddled and taken care of, and everyone else needs to just worry about themselves. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing that even on a global scale, where, you know, we have such an integrated economy, right? There was countries that were saying we are no longer going to ship out any kind of PPE equipment, right? No masks, no gloves, anything we produce we're going to keep in house. And all the other countries are like, yeah, but we give you this, and like there's this mutual sharing, and when that breaks down, the whole system breaks down. Mm-hmm. And we find that within our own communities, right? Like, we can get through this, and this all works when everyone kind of shares what they've got, and they become agents of hope and hope dealers. I think there's these T-shirts for Celebrate Recovery that would say hope dealers on them. Yeah. And but when we take that role seriously, that it's good deeds, it's faithful works, it's spreading hope, it's interacting with each other out of love for one another, then this works. But as soon as you become kind of self-isolated and self-contained, then the whole thing breaks down, because somebody's got too much of something and not enough of something else. Mm-hmm. Or you've got people who have too much of everything, or you got people that have nothing of anything, and the whole system's broken, right? And it takes that free exchange. It takes that free exchange to make things work. Looks like our stream is starting to get a little buggy, so if we begin to lose you, sorry about that. Well, any parting thoughts before we go ahead and close this out?
Yeah, I don't know. We've said a lot, man. We've said a lot. You know,
it's the most I talk all week long.
Right. Yeah. No. I don't know if it looks like it's getting buggy.
We're gonna pretend that it's working. We'll wrap up as best we can.
No, I just think that as Christians, it's important that, you know, like we've been saying, that we just continue to spread hope, continue to share the love of Christ, whether that's going to your neighbors and dropping off, a few rolls of toilet paper, maybe some canned goods, or something. We all know somebody who is high risk in the society that we're living in now with this pandemic. I could list off 5 people right off the top of my head right now if I really wanted, but that due to their immune system or whatever it might be, help them out. Just maybe save them a trip to the grocery store. Maybe save them a trip to the pharmacy. Whatever it might be. We're not really filling gas up as much anymore, right?
Yeah.
So try to help them out any little way you can. Maybe it's raking their yard so you can get out and get some exercise.
There you
whatever. Go. But yeah, I just say just continue to spread hope, continue to spread the love of Christ, and
yeah. And I think it's such a powerful thing to just always remember. Even when we're socially isolated, we are still being watched. Mm-hmm. And when you're being watched, it gives you the opportunity to share good news and to share hope and to do good works, not because people are watching you, but because that's who we are. Mm-hmm. That's who we've been created to be. But because people are watching, it begins the chance for, it opens up the opportunity for conversation. Mm-hmm. And you can begin to tell the story of who God is in your life and what Christ has meant to you and the good news behind the way we live. Mm-hmm. So we're going to wrap in a word of prayer, and I'll let you guys head back into your evening. Those of you who've been with us, thank you for being part of the conversation. But, Dan says Easter service. So what we're doing for Easter is at 3 p.m. on Easter, we're going to have a Zoom call, and we'll do a little bit of acoustic worship together, and we'll do some prayer time and just a little bit of a devotional just there in the middle of your day. And so we'll have some information about how you can get on that on our Facebook page. And I think we could put something on the website as well. So I got thumbs up from that. We'll have something up on the website. But 3 p.m. on Sunday, we're going to be
Mountain Time.
3 p.m. Mountain Time. We're going to be getting together over Zoom for Easter service conversation. So hopefully we'll see you then. But will you pray with me? Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to have a conversation and to build community, even in weird times like this, and where it's just 2 of us on camera staring at a chat screen. But as weird and surreal as it is, Lord, I thank you that each and every day that we get to spread hope, we get to share the good news of Jesus, we get to live a life that impacts people. Because that's who you've created us to be, Lord. You have created us to do something with our life. So I pray that we will always be people of action, even in times when we've got to stay home. Pray that we will be people of action, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, thanks for jumping in with us, and hope you join us next week, because we're going to have Nurse Julie on, and then the week after that, we will have Jake Thurston, almost Dr. Jake Thurston. Yeah. I don't know how close he is, but I'm going to keep saying that. All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.